The arena lights dimmed, the crowd roared, and history prepared to be written. On one side stood Zhilei Zhang, Big Bang, a towering Chinese powerhouse known for his thunderous left hand, a man who carried the weight of an entire nation's expectations. Calm, stoic, but dangerous. He was not just here to fight, he was here to dominate. Across from him, Filip Hrgovic, the undefeated Croatian giant. Cold, calculated, relentless. His reputation? Breaking opponents down piece by piece until there was nothing left. Tonight, he was determined to prove he was the next heavyweight king. When the opening bell rang, the air felt heavier, almost suffocating. These weren't just boxers stepping into a ring. They were two titans, colliding with raw force, pride, and destiny on the line. Zhang came forward early, throwing his massive jab, each one sounding like a gunshot echoing through the arena. Hrgovic, unfazed, circled, measuring distance, looking for openings. His right hand was cocked, ready to unleash devastation. The first few minutes were a storm. Zhang's heavy shots shook the crowd. His left hand found Hrgovic's chin, and for a moment, just a moment, the undefeated Croatian looked vulnerable. The fans gasped. Could this be the night the giant from Croatia finally fell? But Hrgovic wasn't about to fold. He retaliated with vicious hooks to the body, slowing Zhang's advance, making the giant feel every ounce of pressure. Every punch carried danger. Every movement whispered of disaster waiting to strike. The crowd asked itself one chilling question. Who would break first? The iron fists of Zhang or the unshakable will of Hrgovic? The war had only just begun. Round after round, the fight grew fiercer. Zhang, with his towering frame, kept pumping out his southpaw jab, mixing it with crushing left crosses. Every time his fist connected, it was as if an earthquake rippled through the ring. But Hrgovic, he refused to back down. He absorbed punishment, his guard high, his eyes laser-focused. His plan was clear: drag Zhang into deep waters, test his stamina, and drown him under relentless pressure. In the second and third rounds, Hrgovic started to impose his will. He worked the body with brutal precision, his right hook slamming into Zhang's ribs like sledgehammers. The sound was horrifying. The Chinese giant grimaced, but didn't step back. He refused to give ground. Zhang's counterpunches, however, kept the danger alive. His left uppercut nearly lifted Hrgovic off his feet in the fourth round. The crowd gasped. Commentators screamed. For a moment, it looked like the Croatian was in serious trouble. But somehow, Hrgovic steadied himself, smiled through the pain, and pressed forward with more intensity. The two men stood toe to toe, trading bombs that echoed through the arena. Sweat and blood sprayed under the harsh lights, and the fans could barely sit still. By now, the fight had become more than physical. It was mental. Each man was digging deeper into himself, asking the same brutal question: how much more can I endure? The pressure was suffocating. Zhang looked for the one perfect shot that could end it all. Hrgovic, on the other hand, looked determined to break Zhang's spirit, no matter the cost. The suspense was unbearable. Would Zhang's power find the knockout blow, or would Hrgovic's relentless pressure crush the Chinese giant? The battle was only heating up. By the middle rounds, the fight had turned into pure chaos. Both men had landed monstrous shots. Both men had felt the sting of each other's power, and neither was willing to step back. Zhang's jab was still a nightmare. Every time it landed, Hrgovic's head snapped back like a rag doll. His left cross? Devastating. Twice, it staggered Hrgovic, forcing him to hold his ground on sheer willpower alone. The Croatian's face began to swell, crimson streaks painting the story of Zhang's heavy fists. But Hrgovic showed why he was undefeated. He kept walking through fire. His right hand cracked against Zhang's chin again and again, testing the giant's durability. His combinations grew sharper. 1-2, hook to the body, straight right upstairs, relentless, mechanical, devastating. Round after round, the momentum swung like a pendulum. One moment, Zhang looked unstoppable, pounding Hrgovic with brutal shots. The next, Hrgovic surged forward, battering Zhang against the ropes, forcing the whir. The crowd was in disbelief. This wasn't just a fight, this was survival. Both men were exhausted, sweat dripping like rain, their breathing heavy, their bodies bruised and battered. And yet, neither man broke. As the seventh round closed, the tension became unbearable. Each fighter returned to their corner, gasping, covered in blood and sweat. The crowd stood on its feet, screaming, knowing they were witnessing history. The suspense was thick. Which giant would fall first? Would Zhang land the crushing left hand that could end it instantly? Or would Hrgovic's relentless storm finally break the Great Wall of China? The answer was coming, and it was coming violently. By the championship rounds, the fight had turned into a war of attrition. Both men looked human now, cut, battered, exhausted. But their spirits? Unbroken. Zhang, despite his fatigue, still carried thunder in his fists. His left hand was a constant threat, and every time it landed clean, the crowd gasped as if they had just witnessed the end. One shot in the ninth round nearly folded Hrgovic, sending a shockwave through the arena. But somehow, the Croatian survived, his iron will refusing to let him collapse. Hrgovic retaliated with ferocious determination. He hammered Zhang's body, punishing him for every second spent in the ring. The Chinese giant's breathing grew heavier, his movements slower. For the first time, it looked like fatigue might defeat him before Hrgovic's fists did. Still, Zhang had moments of brilliance. His jab kept Hrgovic at bay, and his counters threatened to flip the fight at any second. But Hrgovic's relentlessness was suffocating. He threw punches in bunches, dragging Zhang into a storm that seemed impossible to escape. Both fighters looked on the brink of collapse, yet neither man quit. Each exchange was brutal. Each second was filled with danger. The fans screamed louder than ever, knowing the fight could end in one punch from either side. The breaking point was close. The only question left was chilling. Who would break first? As the final bell rang, both men staggered back to their corners, exhausted, drained, but still standing. The war was over, but there was no doubt it had taken years off their lives. Zhang had landed crushing blows, nearly finishing the undefeated Croatian multiple times. His power had shaken the arena, his willpower inspiring fans around the world. He had proven he belonged among the giants. Hrgovic, however, had shown his iron spirit. No matter how hard Zhang hit him, he refused to stay down. He endured, he pressed forward, and he answered with his own punishment. His face swollen, his body battered, but his will unbroken. When the judges' scorecards were read, the arena fell silent. The decision was razor close, every round contested, every punch critical, and then the announcement, Filip Hrgovic, still undefeated. The crowd erupted, some in cheers, some in outrage. Zhang had given everything. Hrgovic had survived everything. Together, they had created one of the most brutal, unforgettable battles in modern heavyweight boxing. The fight left more than just a winner and loser. It left questions. Zhang had shown he could hang with the very best. Hrgovic had shown he could survive a storm like no other. But the haunting question remains. If these two titans were to meet again, who would fall first? That night, there were no losers, only warriors.